Um, so you have strong views on feminism.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we've talked about it, you are a feminist. But what word did you use? There is an extremer version of
I'm not a
feminism.
feminazi.
There we go. Okay. You're the only one I've heard using that term, though. I've always argued that, and old feminism, I believe that you count feminism in different waves, but I'm not well read enough on the topic to say, what the first wave and second wave. I believe we're in the third wave now of feminism, but I'm not sure. But I would say, like, treating people the same, giving people the men, women, whoever, I don't care if it's men or women, just people the same opportunities and treating them the same. It's, of course, it was needed. Feminism was needed in the beginning because society was, built different. But for me, it's common sense. I was raised mostly by my mother, and I would, of course, men will treat women differently than they do a man. But there is schooling involved in some things that you should do and some things you shouldn't do or say. But for me, everything that you've talked to me about, I feel like is common sense. And when I hear the people that you call, I consider we call feminazis, or the more extreme version of feminism, that's where I start to be like, that doesn't really sit well with me. So, how would you describe feminism? Like, try to, in a short, simple way. What is it for you?
For me,
Yeah.
the equal treatment regardless of your gender. It is purely being equals, regardless of what you have in between your legs. Because, and that's about to summarize it shortly.
Yeah.
I do think that there is not much more, like, why should we dig into much more than of a, like, anything of a description. Of course we could get into feminism, like what you're saying, depending, depends on the wave, depends on the which stage of feminism it can be described in one way or another. But in the end of the day, I believe and I stand for feminism that stands for both genders, or genderless, if anything, if it's necessary, I stand for people being equal. My life is worth as much as yours. My intellectual value is worth as and etc. So it's people being equal and being treated regardless on or how they identify, what they have between their legs, and
So here's where I'm very interested in this, but I am not, again, well read enough on the topic. But I believe that, like, when you use the term gender now, could it be that when you say that, there's the male sex and the female sex, but gender is what, at least in America, perhaps, and in this in that society where they call gender expression more, so you can have different genders, but there's male and female sex. Could that be accurate?
If I'm honest with you here, I'm also not that well read in that area, and I'm quite, like, I'm trying to educate myself bit by bit with this, but it's a lot, and actually, unfortunately, I don't think there is enough out there for us to say, yes, I can speak correctly on this topic. And that also, in that sense, I'm right there with you. I love talking about this. I love finding out about this and discover and getting curious and to be able to understand, because I mean, we cannot talk about it if we don't start at least understanding and asking the right questions or the wrong questions to get the answers without anyone. Like, what I want is not to be judged, because if I'm ignorant about this particular topic, I just want to find out.
Ignorant. We have to be ignorant before we learn something.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do we learn? We talk about it. We try
so
things.
I actually have no idea how that in particular goes.
So, to me, there's no there's no doubt that men and women should be treated equally. All races should be treated equally, no matter where you're from. I don't even like to. There's one race, there's the human race.
Yeah, we all have red blood.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, we're all the same. You should be treated as the person you are and how you conduct yourself. If you conduct yourself like an ass, most likely people are going to treat you badly. But so that's feminism for you, and I'm completely behind that. Some of the topics that I've written down is well, I have a few, and they might not be in the best order. But one of the things that I'm interested in, out of a million things, is the pay gap that people talk about.
Oof, boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you talked about that? Like, is it just something? What do you think about when I say the pay gap?
Well, the pay gap is an abysmal failure in society, in not only like in all societies, because it exists everywhere. Even in Sweden, it still exists, and this is one of the best countries. This is the best country to live in if you are a woman, or if you identify as a woman, or if you are a woman. So the pay gap has been created through centuries and centuries and ages.
Yeah.
This is not something that can be fixed like this. I don't think so. At least in my personal opinion of what I know, what I have read, because there's a lot of political and economical issues. However, Sweden is the best place to be and to live in when it comes to the purely technicalities of the pay gap. Do you know pretty much like the theory behind why there is a pay gap?
Yeah, like I know the statistics. I made a couple of videos that I didn't post because I wanted to have a dialogue instead of me just ranting about stuff. So I think I have a good idea of why there is a pay gap at the moment. But the narrative that some people with a political ideology or a political agenda are pushing is that it's sexist or it's discrimination against women, which I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is that. I'm sure that in some instances that's true. But if you look at the whole picture, it's a very, very small part of the whole equation. So I want to hear your thoughts about it, and I can like fill in with my thoughts and what I know, because I checked the statistics recently. The most recent statistics are from 2019, and it's from the Swedish Mediation Institute or something, who collects all the data about the pay between men and women and different professions and all that. So, so what are your thoughts on it right
My
now?
thoughts is that overall the patriarchy has created a mindset in women and in men for that matter. We have a culture, and in some places the culture is more pronounced, and in some places is less pronounced. Sweden is the place where it's the least pronounced, I would say. The thought of the fact that women tend to stay more longer at home. When we look, for example, at the mama leave and papa leave and so on, women tend to stay longer on mama leave, which does interfere with their work, which does interfere with their work experience, with them being updated on the workplace where they are, as well as on their appreciation or rather of their management or their co-workers, appreciation of them, and being someone who's replaceable or not at work. Women are seen more replaceable in a workspace, depending if their behavior and their patterns of setting are closer to a men at work when they are reliable, they can step in at any time, when they are always there, they prioritize work over whatever other affairs that they have. And if you think about it, and I see myself quite often in that position where at work, I'm seen by either my management of someone who can be there, who is or who can be irreplaceable in certain.
But wouldn't you say that you have a lot of masculine traits?
And that's exactly the point. That was my point of getting. It's because I have more masculine traits, and because I still don't have a baby.
Yeah. So, with that being said, it's not all. There is the choice, right? Like you said, you don't have a baby. And you might have 2 babies or 3, which means that you'll be home for a year, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
Almost a year. And then some people want to have a baby not far after, because they want the babies to, their children to grow up
together,
exactly, and play together and stuff. So there will be a period where you might be home for, almost a year. Then you'll go back to work for 3 months. And then you'll have another baby, and then you'll be home because in Sweden, for those of you who don't know, you can be home for 480 days for one child. That is divided in 2, so and both parents get 280. And then the man can give, I think, almost all the days to the mother, if he wants to. Some days cannot be shared. I'm about to go on papa leave, so I should know this, but it's a jungle. So you might be gone for 3 years, which is a long time.
Yep.
And that is a choice, and that might be. I feel like that's what life is. That's what I can't take care of a newborn properly to give the baby its best start in life. I can't breastfeed. Of course, that's the only thing I can't do. If I don't have to breastfeed, fine, I can stay home for a year. And I was about to stay home for 6 months now, but I got offered a new job. My colleagues don't know about this yet, but once this is out, I would have told them. So I'm just going to be home for 3.5 months. And I was really bummed and also happy about getting a new job, but it was a good opportunity. I wasn't super happy where I am at the moment, and it would mean that I would be 2 days in Linköping and instead of 5 days in a different city. So it just better pay, etc. So I made the choice. It was a tough choice because I wanted to stay home with Carmen. But so in this case, it's about choice. It's not about you or women being. And like you said, society has built up this thing. But even in Sweden, where we are, or I would say Scandinavia, because I don't know if Norway is better or not, but Scandinavia, where men and women are at the peak of equality in the world.
Except for the rape statistics.
Yeah, and that's a cheeky thing to put in, because I believe, and I don't want to get sidetracked, but I believe that rape statistics in Sweden, and I'm not sure about this, but I believe that Sweden has a very high statistics of rape because the definition of rape is different in Sweden.
And also it gets reported.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. I just know that the definition of rape in Sweden is a lot
wider, or
yeah, exactly. So more things gets classified statistically as rape.
I haven't thought about it, but I did think, or I do know that more things are reported.
Yeah,
but yeah, sorry, I sidetracked.
No, but it's fine. But it could be. I'm trying really hard not to get sidetracked, but it could be because, like you said, there's a wider definition. So smaller offenses will be reported because they're not as difficult to deal with. I mean, being raped is one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Yeah, but also with the fact that that people actually get to report these things, and they feel empowered or forced to report this, which is, I think, a good idea. reporting it overall. So it has its own positive and negative to it. Yeah, it's a really bad statistic, but at the same time, it depends on how you look at it.
Sure. I mean, statistics are useful, you know, if you use them. Okay. So, not to get sidetracked.
Pay gap.
Yeah, pay gap. So
a choice.
So there is a choice, and if you look at what's happening in Scandinavia, and if you look at the mediation office's website, people, you see, in America, Google and YouTube are trying to recruit more women into STEM fields because, you know, they see that, I don't know, maybe 80 or 90% of their engineers and programmers are men. So they have these diversity courses that, you know, everybody has to attend, and they're trying to recruit more women because they think there's some bias in society where society is, you know, it matters if we give a doll to a girl or a card to a boy, because we think there's this narrative that, and especially in Sweden, there's been a lot of talk about it, that girls are the way girls are because society creates girls this way. They dress them in pink and they give them dolls instead of race cars, etc. But here in Sweden, where it's a pretty feminized country in Sweden, I would say, compared to others. And the more equal we get here in Sweden, the more men and women are choosing these different professions. Like, there's a divide. In America, they're trying to like recruit not the best one for the job, but the one who fills the gap. If you look at healthcare in Sweden, at the statistics, I think if I summarize nurses, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, doctors, assistant nurses, medical secretaries, etc., and if I try to do what Swedish people would call a killgissning, which is like the mansplaining version of, you know, I'm not as a man, I'm not allowed to just try to make things up. I have to have the raw data, you know, otherwise I'm killy. I'm guessing as a guy, right? But I would put it around 80% women. And nobody's forcing them to do that. And if you look at doctors, and doctors who have a special degree, the ones that are making 80,000 Swedish crowns per month, which is about, let's say it's 8,000 euros per month, that's 50% women and 50% men. But when you look at the other professions like mine, physiotherapy, occupational therapist, and everything else, 67 to like maybe 85%, you know, so let's say 80% are women. Right, so there's a choice. If you look at building, like construction workers and other stuff, it's like 80-90% men. And in a country that has for a long time, probably 30 years or more, pushed this you know, this feminism narrative across society, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, and still it's dividing more and more.
I can tell you like this: even if we think that things are becoming more of a conscious choice, it still is a often misinformed choice of both men and women, because there is still a lot of this concept of no, but this is more of a female area and this is more of a male area. Because when I see it, me speaking with the students as a career guidance counselor, I see these traits, I see these things on kids that, and even more if I have to think on men, or on boys who I honestly believed who could be great caregivers, great psychologists and social kind of workers, and let's say
skills.
People skills, and let's put it in a bracket of who could take care of people and of things, right? And not in the firefighter, police person type of thing, but more like of actual psychological and physical care of a person, right? They still go for mechanic. Oh yeah, but I like fixing things.
Yeah.
And my conversation needs to be with them. Yeah, but do you see, you like fixing more people's problems rather than, yeah, you are good, you are handy, but that doesn't mean that you have to go into that branch directly just because it's kind of fun. It's because you have this internal empathy skills that are people skills and so on. It's so difficult with some of the boys that I can clearly see that are really would be really good nurses or would be really good psychologists or social workers, that they don't go there. They don't go to that branch. Or choices that are made, for example, when I listen to the gymnasium choices, oh yeah, but I can't go to that program, it's only girls there. So that is something that is said by 16 years old. They are making a decision based upon who they feel more comfortable around.
Oh, but that's something that society has to change, because at 16 years of age, you have no clue who you are or who you want to be. No idea at all. So the school system, the educational system, I mean, it's about time something radical happens, not only just to catch up to all the technology that's being available, right? I can't believe that we still have whiteboards or blackboards and we're writing on them, and sure, people are implementing computers, etc., but still. But something that I wanna put in here, because I can't give you the study right now, but I can I can find it and I can give it to you after. There have been several studies made on primates, like apes, right? And if you look at the toys that male chimpanzees or male gorillas choose, they would be categorized as the cars and the action figures and those kind of boy toys, right? That we associate with male boys. And the female apes and chimpanzees would choose more, feminine toys. So, and there is this idea that we're shaping the choices, and it's society that had, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm sure, because we look around and we copy people. That's what we do. We copy and imitate. But there is clear research that says that there are differences between men and women in interests. I believe I can give you her name. Her name is, I think, Deborah So. She's some sort of neuroscience PhD, I believe. She has her own podcast. She's a journalist as well. And the studies that she always cite are the interests that men and women have can be traced back to the amount of testosterone that they were exposed to in uterus. So depending on how much testosterone they were exposed to, their interests and their personalities will differ. And which is why, I mean, some men are more feminine, some women are more masculine, some are 50-50. So, and I don't think that, I mean, look at me, I don't think that if I walk down the street and nobody knows me, I'm pretty tall, and I don't think that people would see that, oh, look at that feminine guy. I'm not saying I'm super masculine, but I don't think I'm tilting towards the feminine part.
But I mean, also
I'm still working with healthcare.
Yeah, but we have to think also feminine and masculine. It's not only about like the looks or the physical part. There is feminine and masculine in the way of behavior. When you see me on the street as well, I'm the tiniest, the Thumbelina.
Perfect example.
Type of thing, but then you hear me talk.
Sure. No, but exactly. But perfect example, right? You're tiny. I'm not large, but I'm pretty tall, and
I think you're a big guy. Or?
Yeah. So and I work well, and we both work with people, right? I care for the elderly and the sick and stuff, and you help educate, kids. Um, and I think that just shows that there, it's not. I chose this profession, and I come from a martial arts background, right? I come from so um, I don't think it's as simple as I've been
As giving toys to no, I don't think so
and
either.
and
Mind you, I don't think human race is simple. I don't think human minds are
no,
simple,
it's
and
complicated.
it's not an easy fix based upon anything. But I think what's important, and I think we in Sweden things have moved into the right direction in the sense of, for example, trying to attract more girls into the building gymnasiums and building high school and stuff like that programs, because to just giving the option. I think I've told you about this discussion that I've had with Jimmy when it comes to, because he said, yeah, but male football is so much better and so much more entertaining. And I asked him, yeah, but look at why, right? Who reaches football? It's the girls, the female football, it's the girls with the commitment to the sport, right? But how much talent did not reach that level just because they were never given the option to think about, or they were never in a surrounding where that career was an option.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So
no, I know what you mean.
maybe the Messis and the Pelés of the female football got lost
Sure.
in not even reaching to touch a football.
Yeah, the let's. I don't know if this is accurate, but we could say that that it's a natural process that female sports are where they are at the moment, but since it's becoming, people are becoming more and more aware of this, and we see a development. If you look at female sports 15 years ago, probably the quality today and 15 years ago is quite large in terms of what kind of training do they get, and how talented are they, right? So it's a natural progression. So in 15 more years, the difference between men and women in sports might be smaller. So it's a natural progression, right? It kind of has to happen this way. And it's, if we look at the curve, it's probably going in the right direction for sure. But of course, men will always be better at physical activities. That's the sad truth. Which brings me to, okay, so that's I want to get into that talk. Actually, it's one of the points, the top that I've written down. But the pay gap is for the first since 2007, the pay gap has decreased annually in Sweden every year, and now it's for the first time under 10%. Okay, this is 2019 statistics. And but if you look at healthcare, we have something called Region Östergötland, which is public healthcare, the hospitals, primary care centrals, etc. There, the difference in all of the sectors, in all of Sweden, in all professions, it's the largest. If you look at commune workers, people who work in municipalities, right, it's the smallest. It's 2.4% difference. So really regulated between men and women. If you look in the regions, hospitals, primary care, etc., it's almost 20%, 18.8. Men make almost 20% more money than women.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, before you roll your eyes,
yeah.
Why? I'll give you some numbers and you can think about this. When you look at the graph, and I wish I had a production studio with a producer guy that we could watch it on the screen at the same time, but not at the moment I can't. So if you look at most people who work in the region, let's say it's 80% women. I'm not far off. It might be 78 or 80. And they're making between 30, let's say around 33,000 monthly before taxes. Okay? That's 80% women. If you look at the ones who make the most, it's doctors with a special degree. They make 80,000 Swedish. per month. But they're 50% women and they're 50% men.
So it is fairly equal. Yeah.
And listen to this. All of those professions within the regions that earn the normal wage around 33,000, they get paid 105% of what a man is getting paid. Physiotherapists, women are getting paid more. Nurses, assistant nurses, women are getting paid more. Okay, this is from the Swedish statistics.
I have a thought on that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you my thought as well. So women are making more in the lower regions of the pay, but they're also dominating them by 80% being female. And then, 50% women, 50% men, specialist doctors make 80,000. So of course, all of a sudden you have all of the, so when you just look at, okay, now we have all these men, not so many make 33,000, but a lot of them are making 80,000. We have a lot of women who make not so much money, and we have some women who make, so whoop, when you look at the statistics, it looks like it's super unfair. So initially you would roll your eyes and go like, oh man, men are making 20% more than women, but it's actually fair and women are making more. My idea on this, and let's see what you say, is that because it's a female-dominated profession, women stay longer within the profession.
That's what was one of my thoughts.
Exactly. Yeah. So you stay, and then annually you get this bump, right? And then more men are slowly coming into this profession, so they get the starting salary, So they have lower wage. And I'm not saying it's unfair.
And also, you have to think that the good thing about Sweden is they go both ways. Is that they also try to recruit more men into a female-dominated.
Trying to? What do you mean?
In the sense of they right now, like speaking about something that I know really well, of gymnasium. For example, they are really trying to attract more boys into vård and omsorg. Because barely any boys go to vård and omsorg.
Okay.
As in the study. So, and this is, what is it, like assistant nurse?
Yeah.
Barely any boys apply, only girls. So therefore, that is already an indicator of the fact that not so many men try to get into this caregiving. So therefore, I know that in many positions in Sweden, they also do this. We would prioritize a man or a woman into a job position, because I know that it has, when I was looking into PhD positions and so on, they clearly stated that this would be a woman would be prioritized into or looked quicker at if they would apply for this position, because there were too many men in the department. So I am guessing here, and this is Shay guess,
but yay! I love you. Thank you. There's something called a Shay guess as well.
So
such a stupid term.
Yeah, I know.
And it's sexist against men.
It is sexist, and I really don't like that. I really, really don't like that. So
social distance fist bump. Awesome.
So I'm guessing here that they would do exactly the same of trying to recruit more men, and therefore also because females are reaching the profession earlier, they are getting this yearly bump and so on, as well as the tendency of staying in the same position and climbing the stair within the organization. But I think maybe more men in the sense they reach certain positions and certain professions later on in their life, like yourself. You have changed your profession, being seasoned already and in other places and other jobs, and then you reached this.
Yeah. So I want to stop you there. Is there something wrong with men and women choosing different professions? Is there something wrong with boys not choosing to go into like vård och omsorg, which is like care for elderly and stuff like that?
I don't think there's anything wrong when it comes to the boy don't know, but I do think that there has to be an essential mix of things.
I believe that the more equal the workplace, the more healthy the environment. Okay, that's just a general feeling, because I work with 98% women. You know, that's my daily
interactions.
thing. Yeah. So nothing against my colleagues, but just as an example, it's some of the things that they decide to do for Christmas. It was like, let's go home to my place and let's make these Christmas
DIYing.
Let's make our own little Christmas decoration that we hang on the door. I wasn't too interested in that, and I couldn't see myself going to something like that. Of course, I wasn't as close to my colleagues, so it felt a bit awkward. I probably should have gone to, to make the relationship better between me and my colleagues, but I just couldn't, manage to go. But I think that it's healthy, but nothing should be forced. We should not try to manipulate people to make choices, because women, I think the science is pretty clear here. I am by no means qualified.
We're speaking out of our asses here. Come on.
Thank you. Welcome to the Ass Talk show. Just to think of it this way: women are biologically wired to have babies.
Yeah.
Right. Of all the things that make you the most special between men and women, that's what you can do. You can create life, right?
Not without your help, though.
No. Right.
We cannot just...
Unless you're religious, and that just happens. Yeah.
It just arrives.
Yeah. So women are also hardwired biologically to look after babies. So if you look at, I'm quoting Jordan Peterson here. He's a famous clinical psychologist.
I think I'm reading one of his books, The 12 Rules of...
Fantastic! Fantastic! One of your colleagues got angry with another of your colleagues because I had lent them that book.
Why? I guess it didn't work out well for their family life, or...
No. They just, it's cancel culture. Right? There are so many people in the cancel culture that hates Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I have read that as well. Yeah, that's why I bought his book.
Perfect. Oh, great. Okay, anyway. So there are 5 major personality traits. I can't name them all, but there's like conscientious, which means you work really, really hard at something. But there's also agreeable and non-agreeable and some other stuff, right? And women tend to lean more to the agreeable part of a personality overall. I listened to something he said yesterday, and he said that if you would pick a random woman and a random man, but you would not know, you would not see them, you would just see a list of their personalities. If you just looked at the personalities, you could, what was it, like 40% of the time you would be accurate that it was a woman, just based off of looking at personality, which is not bad. It's almost like 1 in 2. Just off of personalities. But when you go to the more extreme parts, like aggression and perhaps super agreeable, I'm sorry, I'm ass talk here, but let's go for super aggression. Super aggression, they're all men. They're all men.
That is part of the patriarchy, and that is something that I can jump on. There is a part of the patriarchy and biology, because you are bigger, you are stronger, so, but at the same time, through history, things have been enabled of, like, just a couple of days ago, me and my friend in the graphic design company, we were looking at like outrageous ads, and there were ads like, oh, it does not matter what he did or what he did to you, or your man still deserves the best. Lucky, like the perfumes, blah blah blah, this type of thing. And the ad behind the woman was like creepily smiling, like forcing the smile, and the guy was standing behind like this.
Ooh.
And you're just thinking, this was advertisement,
Yeah.
like not that long ago,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
century
yeah, sure,
advertisement.
sure.
So this is the thing about also what you connect things, what we have been raised to connect men and women to, and what biologically has been a thing. Yeah, you have more power when it comes to physical power, and I mean for political, for that matter, currently, and all of that, but physically speaking, you do something and you use something because you have it, right? And then there is a certain education that is in place and so on, which when we see that yeah, comparing to Spain and Russia, comparing to Sweden, you see the big difference of how men and women are brought up and how things are and the type of relationships and all of that. But for example, the super aggression, I can totally understand why it's linked mainly to a man.
But it goes back to also, you talked about the political thing and political professions, etc. Testosterone shapes what a man behaves like, right? Being a boy, a teenage boy, like there are, women always say, oh, you have no idea what it's like to be a woman, you can't complain about pain because you haven't given birth, shut up, you can't complain about anything because you're a man, oh, you're crying, you're such a crybaby.
You can no, but that's not okay.
No, I know
Those
it's not
are,
okay.
yeah.
It's terrible. I
Yeah,
get to
those
hear
things
it.
are
I hear it all the time at work. My female colleagues are telling me, oh, and they're trying to laugh it off, but they're saying,
yeah,
don't.
but they still let you that comment, which
Yeah.
is not okay.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. But there is the patriarchy. The patriarchy. It's hard to. It's can talk about so many things, and I hope I get better at this in the future. But since you mentioned the patriarchy, the patriarchy is the idea that men are furthering themselves at the expense of women. That's, I think, is a fairly good definition of the idea that there is a patriarchy.
They like it's a fact. Men have taken advantage, and they are in a position right now because they've taken advantage, and they have taken power away from women in the previously.
I don't believe, and this is interesting. Let's see where we end up on this, right? Because here we are not agreeing. I don't think we're agreeing completely. I don't believe that men have furthered themselves by pushing down women. If that was the case, then there would be this constant struggle. Well, first of all, oh, it's so hard. My brain has to get better at this. Male traits are more a predictor, are a better prediction of success than female traits. Feminine traits. Okay, so if a feminine trait, let's see if you agree here, would be more agreeable and less prone to enter conflicts. Okay, and a man would be disagreeable and more prone to enter conflicts. The person who is more prone to enter conflicts and is disagreeable will further himself or herself in the workplace. Like you, for example, people look at you as dependent, you're always there. I'm sure that if you had a profession where, like, let's say for a lawyer, for example, where you would, the more space you took, the more successful you would become, and then you would make lots of money, right? So that's in our biology. We're all individuals, it's all different, but it's the disagreeableness and liking conflict is more present with men than it is in women. Okay, so that's one thing. So the patriarchy, you have to remember that the definition is that we further ourselves at the expense of women, meaning that we're pushing women down. If you look at the things that we do, let's make a comparison here, and I'm quoting a guy named Farrell. I believe, I don't know, he wrote a book about the pay gap that is the most famous book written about the pay gap. And he, in an interview, he said, if there was a patriarchy that is described the way it is, we wouldn't be opening doors for women. Okay, before you start, just hear me out. Okay, I'm quoting him as good as I can here. We wouldn't be opening doors. We wouldn't be buying them diamond rings. It would be women who bought us diamond rings, right? If But we're not. We are buying them diamond rings, right? But if there was a patriarchy, you would be the ones pay it. We wouldn't be opening doors. You would be opening doors for us. Valentine's Day wouldn't be about buying roses and gifts for the woman, which it has been for a long time.
But right now you're talking about cliche things. We're not talking about education. Women have been deprived of having an education just based because they have a vagina. That has been a.
I don't think it's because they've had a vagina.
But that's a fact. That's a fact right now. Right now, still, it's a fact. In India, if you're born female, you don't have access to education. The boys get sent to school, not you.
Yeah, but in Sweden, 2/3, and of course, now we're comparing, like, I don't know, apples and oranges would be a term, but in Sweden, 2/3 of people at university are female. Okay, but we are advanced. We're probably 50 or 100 years in the future compared to India and other countries.
More.
Exactly, right? But what other solution would nature have given us, right? Go back 2,000 years, 10,000 years. What other solution could we have taken where the only person that you could rely on to protect you was a man? And the stronger the man, the safer you were, right? And the more he took, the safer you got, because he would have perhaps more money or a better place to live, and a larger tribe, right? What other solution would nature have given us than the one we have currently passed through? Men had to go out and do some stuff. Women had to stay home and do some stuff, because it was not viable 10,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago for the male, to do the opposite things. It would not have been possible.
But once again, if you look at it, it is testosterone and the force, because the things that were taken, and when we go this many years back and so on, the things that are taken, they're usually taken by force. And one of the things that women have been, like you pointed out before, is the producing children, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are in power as a male,
yeah,
you need to procreate, you need to continue, and you need to have, otherwise of course you die off and everything dies off. And one of our biological things is also the legacy and leaving things. We have this necessity in us to reproduce, right?
Yeah, it's just probably the strongest thing that we have.
So
but only us. Go on.
Yeah, but so if we actually look at when it has come, or when it comes to how women have been pushed down, because women can still defend themselves, women can still do things. And in fact, if I go back to pagan Russia, women are very strong, and they used to learn to fight with different weapons and everything. But in the end of the day, when it comes to overpowering, the man would win unless there was multiple women to defend themselves and so on. So when it comes to that type of that type of thing, so the ruling kind of by fear and power has been there for a long time, to gain wealth, to gain land, all of these things, right? So what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to power and gaining power, the strength, physical strength has always been used. That wars have started over these things. So people killed people, and men killed men to take over what they had with strength and power. So females have if when it comes to being intellectual, and when it comes to do good, we could probably do exactly the same thing as male and female, but because there has been always a struggle of wanting to have more, gain more, survive as a male, because otherwise someone else is gonna come for you, right?
Yeah.
When we go so many years behind,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm speaking, so women always have been at a disadvantage because brute force have been used with them, and
If your goal at that time was to be, I mean, again, try to picture another way society would have developed. Like, it's getting better every day. We have never been better. The world has never been better than what it is now, right? So I don't, I haven't put in too much thought about this, but it's been a feeling that's been within me for a long time. What other path would have been possible given our biology and our evolution? It's not a conscious choice from men to push people down. There is no difference between men and women intellectually. There is no difference. There are some, like, I think women are more orderly than men, and men are, there was one trait that was more present within men, but intellectually there is no difference. That's clear science, right? But who shaped society? Okay, who built all the things when there were no machines to do everything? Who constructed a house properly when you had to carry logs by yourself? Other stuff had to be done. Women couldn't do it because the physical strength is just too large, right? So who would be the builders of houses? Who would be the builders who constructed villages? It would be men, because, right, there were no machines back then.
But once
right?
again, we're talking about brute force.
But
And
that's what we
a
had.
society but that's a society that could have been, because if women learn how to do it and a man dies in their family, right? She still knows how to do it. She just needs the brute force of doing it.
Sure.
But the thing that has been, we as women have been deprived for ages, was of knowledge. And knowledge is the main thing that stops you, because if you don't know how to do it, you can be lifting rocks, and you can
if you go back to this era of time, do you think, honestly here, do you think that it was common for women to ask or to participate in this, or was it we were at that place where this was the way it was? Or did women actively try to pursue the knowledge? If you looked at, let's say, do you think the majority of women in this ancient era tried to participate in building houses and acquiring the knowledge? Or was it like we were talking about previously? This is what we're doing. Women are doing this. Men are doing that. Life is hard. We're alive. We have food. We're pretty happy about it. We don't care about these small details. Did they try to become builders? Did some do it? Perhaps, right?
I think so. I honestly think that it was, and that it actually, the more you go in age, the more common that women would try to see, to learn. But there has been a certain break point where things have established, in what we spoke about a bit before, out of the norm.
Yeah.
If you are the only woman who is trying to learn more about a certain, profession or certain, to educate yourself. But one of the things, once again, that we have been dealing with, and why women back off from many things, it's because they don't want to be exposed to certain things, such as violence, such as rape, and that's another thing. Why so many women quit from the builders and painters and this type of, because there is sexual harassment, because there is these type of things. And when it comes to you stick to what is safer, right? Coming out of the norm, maybe many women, many girls were curious and wanted to learn, and even learned, but they hid it.
Oh, but also a male trait. Also a male trait to seek out risk. Okay, it's again, I don't have the science, but I believe it's part of the amount of testosterone that we get. Right, we want to go really fast.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to do certain things, extreme things. 93% of all deaths that occur in occupations are men. 93% in this country, where we are as equal as can be. 93% of all people who die in occupations are men. Okay, so something also that you see, things that are not discussed enough, I believe, is women have been deprived of careers. Okay, that is true. Okay, but what they don't, oh, I can't get this quote right, but men, what people fail to talk about is that men have been deprived of, I might get this wrong, safety. Could that be it? Security. Because men were sent to war to die, not women. Men are the ones working all the dangerous jobs still today. Still today, where there is no sexual harassment. Women are not choosing these jobs. Um, so I don't believe that there is a patriarchy, because you have to make the distinction of the conscious choice. The conscious choice of keeping somebody down, right? Power, I believe the definition of power is that you further yourself and give yourself power and power to the ones who are around you, who benefit your position, while depriving other people of power. Okay, making other people less powerful that are your enemies. That, I think, is the definition of like power. Okay, look at slavery. Again, let's going back to the cliches, but and we're talking about patriarchy. Yeah, I don't think anyone opened a door to a slave. Nobody bought flowers for a slave. Okay, that was a conscious choice that people who had slaves did. They pushed them down. They made sure they did not get any education at all. They kept them illiterate. They would not have them produced to a point where it became a threat. There we have a clear picture of humans or men pushing people down, depriving them of every opportunity of knowledge, education, rights. Okay, so that if that was the case, if women were treated that way, I believe yes, there would be a patriarchy. But I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say, and please say it. But the patriarchy that men have made a conscious decision to deprive women of power and education. Yes, there was a point where women could not be mathematicians because they would be laughed at. There are several movies made about it. Women tried to be and there are several women who made astounding discoveries in astrophysics and mathematics and such things, right? And I agree. Imagine if so many more women at that time could have. How many female Albert Einsteins have we missed because of women did not get the opportunity? But again, and yes, of course, the men would treat the woman differently because it had never been done before. I mean, working together equally has been what, 40 years? Men and women for 40 years, that's nothing. But the rapid advance now, it's crazy. From nothing to equal in what, 40, 50 years? Nothing to almost equal in 40 to 50 years. But my point is, there was no conscious decision where people pushed down women to the point where they deprived them of power that we did towards slaves.
No, of course, not like that. But think about it. Which, if we go back to the cliches, which women do men open doors for? And which ones do they buy, or would they buy the diamonds for?
Oh, that's a wide question. Can you be more specific?
As in, there is, or I can be straightforward about it.